Now, before we go any further, let's talk about making a change. And in this case, it's a rather drastic one that is actually going to cause us some issues. So right here, we talked about earlier this surface coming too far forward back here. And now that we have our peg holes in, we can see that it definitely does come too far forward. I don't want for the peg hole to eat across this edge here. So we need to bring this back. We've already adjusted the bottom curve, and all we have left to do is adjust this top curve. But as I'm going to show you, there's a problem with that as well. We'll just open up the neck file, and then we'll find this master model here and click Edit in Context to open up that file so we can change that. And now I actually just want to change this one curve. So let's edit this sketch. And as it turns out, this curve is actually an arc, unfortunately, which is going to mean that, well, we can't adjust it. And SOLIDWORKS doesn't have a way of converting an arc to a spline, at least not yet. So unfortunately, what we're going to have to do is roundabout. So let's take our spline tool and create a two-point spline between these two curves. I'm going to make this construction geometry. And over here, I'm going to set this spline to be tangent with our circle. And on the other end, it does not need to be tangent with our circle. We can actually adjust that however we like visually. So right now, I'm happy with this visually. I think this is kind of closer to the type of angle that we want coming out to the headstock there. So I close this up and I click Yes to save. And now when we go back to our part, all of a sudden, everything is going to break. Oh no, we've got a whole big bunch of red stuff in our tree and we're panicked and kind of upset about it. Okay, so don't panic, people. We can actually fix this. When these kind of things happen, it looks really scary. There's a lot of bad stuff that looks like has happened, but in reality, it's not that bad. So all we do is we just start back at the beginning, wherever the problem begins, and then try fixing it. So first of all, let's edit this surface here, and we'll see that it's missing a curve because we actually converted that arc to construction geometry. It's looking for that arc, and it's not finding it. So what we need to do is show that sketch. All right. Edit this one more time. And this time, we can see the red dotted line is showing us the curve that it's looking for. What we'll do is just delete that from our list up here. Right-click, Selection Manager. Grab this curve instead of that original arc. Click OK. And now all of a sudden we have a new surface built just like the old one, and it should perfectly replace the old one. All the other stuff is the same as it used to be. So click OK and we actually have a new result. And if we continue to work our way down our history tree here, things should rebuild the way that they ought to. So we'll just keep on going right down to the end. Looking pretty nice, and we can see that because of that adjustment, our peg hole is actually no longer eating in to that fillet there in the corner. So we're happy with the change. We can go ahead and go to the very end to get that mirror in place. And we are good. Let's hide this sketch. Close this up. And that's a rather drastic surgical change we had to make, but it wasn't that big of a deal, as you can see. And now that we've made that change, we can always go back and adjust that spline to kind of adjust the shape of this underlying surface. So there we go, folks. That is making a change to our original master model and watching everything else update.